Yeah. And can you hear me properly?
Yeah.
Let me just send the message quickly. Uh, okay, let's go. So which one is this one? Okay, yeah, and so the calculus. We are just going to look at you know, from the basics, which is just this part that are first principles and just deriving. Ne? So with first principles, I'm not really gonna do it because I assume you know how to do it. But then you
Yeah.
just have to know the formula. Prime x is equals to limit as h tends to 0. And then you have f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Yeah? So it's just that. And another tip or name you can. This is a free 5 marks, by the way. So you can just derive this quickly by just saying f prime x is equal to, already we know the 5 was gonna fall away, right? It's a 0. But then this minus 2x squared, it's going to give us minus
That's
4x.
right.
So you know what, okay, after doing your first principles, you must get what? Minus 4x. So if you don't get minus 4x, that means there's a problem in your calculation. So it's just a way to double check. So yeah, we are not gonna look at that. And then 7.2.1, maybe we can look at 7.2.1. So they say determine dy over dx if y is equals to 7x to the power 4 plus 2x squared divided by root of x. So sharp, now they're saying that here's the thing now, né? Before you can start deriving, you must make sure that all of your terms are in this form, ax to the power of b, because it's easier to derive when everything is in this form. So let's say this is my f of x. Ne? My f prime x is going to be what? Uh, a times b, right? Then x to the power of b minus 1. So once everything is like this, it's easy for you to derive. So here I am now. So look carefully. Ne? I'm not starting by saying dy over dx because I want to change this first of all. So I'm just going to start by saying y is equals to 7x to 7x4 plus 2x squared over x to the power of half. Ne? So still, we are still at y. So we are just going to say 7x to the power of 4, then we'll have 2. Then now it's lots of exponents. So we are dividing two terms which have the same base. So what do? We keep the base, then we subtract the exponents. So 2 minus half, that's 3 over 2, or 1.5, right? Then now, can we derive this guy? Yes, because it's in this form of a ax to the power of b. So now that we are going to derive, that's when we are going to say dy over dx. Because here we haven't derived, so we are not supposed to say dy over dx, or they might mark us wrong. Né? So dy over dx. That's going to be 4 times 7. That's 28. 8x to the power of 3 plus 3 over 2 times 2. That's going to be 3x to the power of 3 over 2 minus 1. That's half. So now, here's our final answer. Here's our final answer. You get the idea now? Umelo, I see you joined. Are you okay?
Yeah, yeah, okay, clever.
Yeah, this is just a starter. I'm sure you guys, this is boring you, but this is just a starter. Then 7.2.2, they say the x 3x squared minus 7x minus 6 over x. So even with this one, we are just going to say dx, then put that square bracket. Right? Then since now we have this x, the easiest way is just by us saying 3x squared. Right? So we are just going to separate the x and just put it back in its normal form. So it's going to be 3x squared over x minus 7x over x, and then a minus 6 over x. So you see, I'm still keeping my dx, because I'm still working with my original expression that was given. So I'm just going to say now dx again, so I can work everything out. So it's going to be 3x minus 7, because they cancel here and they cancel here, and then minus 6 over x. So I'm still gonna keep it again because this looks okay and this looks okay, but this one does not look okay. So just to fix this one, I still have to put the dx because I haven't started deriving. So I'm going to say 3x minus 7 minus. So what I'm just going to do, I'm going to flip them. Then I'm going to have 6. So I'm just going to take this x to my numerator, basically, when I say flip. So I'm going to have 6x. Then since we are flipping the x, it's going to have a negative exponent now, because this is the same as x to the power of 1. Then now we can derive. This is in an okay manner. We can now derive. When we derive, we are just going to say now, this is going to be 3 times 1, which is 3, times, what's this? 3 times 1, yeah, sharp. Then the 7 will fall away. Then we have minus. Okay, it's going to be minus 1 times negative 6. That's going to be positive 6. Then we keep the x minus 1, then we subtract 1. It's going to be minus 2. So here's our final. Ne? So far, so good. Ne? Just the starter. Nothing too serious. So already, guys, this question, when it comes to calculus, already you know you have a free 12 marks. Ne? Please avoid making mistakes. Ne? Calm down, think of everything properly, and avoid making mistakes. This is a free 12 marks that you can grab quickly before moving to, the more complex questions. So that was, let me see, which year was this? I sent you guys the papers that we are gonna look at so that maybe you can just go through them and look at them. So yeah, this is Eastern Cape, September 2021. So now we are moving to So I'm going to look at this other question from another paper. What's this paper? I think it's pre-trial exam, né? Yeah, it's pre-trial exam. Here it is, pre-trial exam. That's paper one, so it's a prelim. So sharp. It was, I think it's question 6, the first question for calculus. So yeah, here we are. So again, the first one, it's first derivative. What are we going to do? The basics, the normal stuff. So we are just going to use that formula. But then, as I said, you can just write this quickly on the side on your question paper. So derive it quickly. So f of x is equal to minus 3x squared. That's going to be f prime x is equal to minus 6x. Then when you use your first principles, you must end up with f prime x is equal to minus 6x. Then you grab your 4 marks. Then a 6.2, they are saying determine dy over dx if y is equals to 7x to the power 4 minus 5 root x minus 3 over x. These questions look similar, by the way. It looks very similar to the previous one that we did. So what are we going to do? We have a problem here and also here. This guy is okay. So we are going to start by fixing those two. So we are going to say 6.2 y is equals to 7x to the power of 4 minus 5 root x minus 3 over x. So as I said, I'm still keeping the y, né? The y is equal to. So now it's going to be 7x to the power of 4 minus 5x. Then it's going to be what? I'm going to make it a rational exponent. So it's going to be x to the power of 1 over 2. So basically, if you don't know, when I turn this, what I have here to a rational exponent, I'm going to just put my base of x, and then my power here is going to be my numerator. So my power of 1 is my numerator, and then my root, whatever the root is. So in this case, it's a square root. So that's where it becomes my denominator, and it's 2. And then we'll have minus 3. So here I'm just going to take the x back to the numerator to make it the negative exponent. So it's that. Then now everything looks okay. Everything doesn't look foreign. Everything looks okay. So I can start deriving. So this is exactly the same as the previous one. So that's going to be 28, 28x cubed. And then it's going to be minus half times 5. That's going to be 5 over 2x to the power of minus half. And then negative 1 times negative 3, that's going to be positive 3x, negative 2. Final answer. Then you've collected your 4 marks quickly. Yeah, that's basically just that. Nothing too much, nothing too complex. It's basically just that. It is basically just that. Let me do this. Okay, no problem now. Let me just erase. Let me just erase this. Yeah, because I think this part is not that probably have you guys know these parts. I believe that you guys know these parts. So I'm just sliding through them. So 6.3 is a different kind of question. So that's why I picked this paper because I want us to look at 6.3. I want us to look at 6.3 now. So as you can see, the mark allocation is 5 marks. So we are going to need to do some workings. And then I need you guys to familiarize yourselves with these kinds of questions. Because I already know that for this one and this one, you guys are good, né? So with this one, there are high chances that a question like this will appear in your paper. So let us just look at it. Okay, someone joined. Someone joined. Let me accept that person. Someone joined. So let's see. 6.3, what do they tell us? They say it is given that g of x, so it's a function, is equals to ax cubed minus 24x plus b. So already we have a cubic function because our highest power is a cube. So, and then they say it is given the g of x, which is ax cubed minus 24x plus b, has a local minimum turning point. Local minimum turning point. So when we say local, you're not talking about the taxi, ne? When you want to climb a taxi and say local, we're not talking about that. So minimum turning point. So already we know with a cubic graph, depending on whether A is positive or negative. So if A is positive, our cubic graph will look something like this, right? And then if A is negative, our cubic graph will look something like this. So now when they say local minimum turning point, in this situation now, our local minimum turning point is going to be this guy because it's the lowest uh, turning point, right? It's the lower turning point between these two when we compare them because we have two turning points. So it's going to be this one. And then in this case, it's going to be this guy, right? So when they say local minimum turning point, that's basically what we are talking about. So this graph g of x, it has a local minimum turning point at these coordinates minus 2 and 17. So then they say determine the values of A and B, 5 marks. So already we have two unknowns. What does that say? Simultaneous equations, right? That says simultaneous equations. So we are just going to do this thing. I need you to remember this. To find the turning point, you're going to take your first derivative and equate it to zero, always. Yeah? Always. So what is happening now here? We are going to do the very same thing. So we are going to say 6.3. We are going to have a g prime x going to be equals to now 0. But then we are going to start by deriving our g of x. So we'll have g prime x is equals to 3ax squared, right? And then it's going to be minus 24. And then at this value of b, we are going to leave it out. It's going to be a 0. Why? Because it represents a number. It represents a number like 7 or whatever. Because you know when you are deriving, when you see a whole number or a constant, it will become a 0. I'm not saying that 7 is equals to 0, but I'm saying when you derive, any number is going to be a 0. Okay, so here's our first step we have derived now. Then what did we say? We said now for our turning point, we know that to find it, we are going to take our first derivative. And in this case, it is 3ax squared minus 24. And then what do we do with our first derivative? We equate it to 0. So that's what we did. So now if you can see, we have 3ax squared minus 24 is equals to 0. So we have two unknowns, which is a and x. But luckily for us, they told us that they told us the coordinates of this turning point, right? And then the x coordinate is going to be -2. So we are just going to substitute that -2 right here in our equation. So we are going to have 3a -2 squared minus 24 equals to 0. So from here, you're just going to work it out properly. -2 all squared, that's going to be a 4. Then it's a positive 4. So positive 4 times 3a, that's going to be 12a. And 12a minus 24 is equals to 0. Then now we can take 24 to that side. So we'll have 12a is equals to 24. Then we're just going to work out our value for a by dividing both sides by 12. Then a now is 2. Are we all on the same boat, ne?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we all on the same? Who is Galaxy A12? I see Galaxy
Tsebo.
A. Oh, it's you, Tsebo.
Yeah, Tsebo Mutap.
Okay, okay, okay. So yeah, next time just try writing your name so I can identify you properly, ne?
Okay.
But then, okay, no problem. So we found our value for A. Now we are going for B. So let me just kind of draw a line here. So to find our value for B, that's how we got A here on the left-hand side. So to find our value for B, we are just going to look at our function in its original form. So it's going to be g of x is equals to ax cubed minus 24x plus b. So this is a function. And what I want you to remember is that even though this coordinate is a minimum turning point, it is still a point on this function, right? So what am I going to do now? I'm going to substitute this point into my function. So I'm going to substitute minus 2 and 70. So it's going to be 70 is equals to a, but then I already got my value for a to be 2. Ne? So I'm going, instead of saying a, I'm going to have 2 now. And then the x value is -2. Then it's going to be all cubed minus 24 -2 plus b. Okay, this is not visible. Let me just say that sharp. So now we have 17 is equals to, so minus 2 all cubed, that's -8, and then -8 times, yeah, -8 times 2, that's -16, which is -20. Then now we have -24 times -2, that's going to be +42 and plus b. So to find b, we're just going to
Tsebo. 48. It's on 42.
Okay, 24 times 2, that's going to be, okay. Let me fix it. Let me fix it. So here we had 24, right? And then we say negative 24 times negative 2, that's positive 48, yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So to find B, I'm just going to say 17 plus 16 minus 48, right? So what do we get there? Can you guys punch in your calculator?
Negative
It's
15.
minus 15.
Minus 15.
Yeah.
Okay. So already now here's our values for A and B. Then you have gotten your nice 5 marks. Ne? So it's basically just that. And also another thing, when you're in a test, you'll be rushing. So when you practice, you must also like practice in a situation whereby you are in a like put yourself in a situation whereby you are in an exam room, right? Because you will be able to handle working under pressure. Because like even for me, I was just calculating here, but because I was going quickly, I made a silly mistake, and that silly mistake in an exam, you don't have anyone to tell you that no, this is wrong or this is right. So you would have missed that, and that would have been wrong for you, you know. So just try and practice in those kind of situations. But then either way, I just wanted you guys to be familiar with this kind of question, which is question 16. Okay, so let me move to
Sure,
the last one. Yeah,
sure. Another question. Let's say never feel like a similar question to your 6.3. Mara bare bare it has a gonna give maximum turning point. And so resolve got the same steps or on all these steps.
it would basically be the same thing because it's still a turning point at the end of the day. Né? It's still a turning point at the end of
Yeah.
the day. And to find when we say our first derivative is equals to 0, it gives us both the minimum turning point and the maximum turning point, you know. So it will, if they had replaced minimum with maximum, you would have had to use the very same steps.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let me erase here. Let's go. So 7.1, first principles, that's always the first one. So this is a quick 5 marks, guys. So as I said, just write this on the side. F prime x is going to be what in this case? Minus 4x. And it's similar to the previous one that we did. So you can see these questions, they are similar. Né? When you look at various past papers, you are going to see that they have a similar style of questions. So f prime x is minus 4x. So when you use your first principles, you know that at the end you must be left with minus 4x. And I'm not saying that you should just say f prime x is equal to minus 4x and expect now to get 5 marks. That's not possible. You must use your formula. You must use your formula of f prime x is h tends to 0. Then we have f of x plus h minus f of x over h. you have to use this formula, you are forced. But either way, that's a free 5 marks. Then after getting your answer, compare it with this one. If they are the same, then you know you are on the right track. You can move on to 7.2.1. And 7.2.1, they are saying now, determine f prime x if it is given that f of x is equal to minus 2x cubed plus 3x squared. Okay, this is easy. I think I'm going to skip this one, guys. Are we all okay with this one? Eh? But okay, let me just look at it for the sake of doing it. Let me just look at it. So I'm just going already. This is okay. The first term is okay. You can derive it. Even the second term is okay. So we are just going to jump straight into it and say f prime x is equals to. So we are going to have minus 6x squared plus 6x. And you see even the mark allocation, it's 2 marks. So with just that, we are done. So yeah, please give me a few seconds. I just want to switch on the light here. Okay, so that was 7.2.1. So already, by virtue of doing this question, you already should have 7 marks because so far we have looked at it. So already you should have 7 marks. So let's look at 7.2.2 now. So 7.2.2, they say now determine dy over dx if y is equals to 2x plus 1 over root 4x. So as I said, let me start here 7.2.2. With a question like this, the first term is in a okay state for us to derive. But the second one is going to be a bit of a problem for us. So what are we going to do? We are going to put it in the form of x to the power of b. So we are going to say y is equals to 2x. So you see, I'm not starting by saying dy over dx. I'm saying y because I haven't started deriving. I'm only going to use the dy over dx when I start deriving. So I'm going to have y is equals to 2x plus 1 over. So I want you guys to see something. This is root 4 of x. So already I know that the square root of 4 is 2, right? And then it's going to be the same as now. The square root of 4, which will be 2, and then basically root x. Right? 2 root x, because yeah, I can't get there's no number for the square root of x. So it's just going to be y now, continuing, y is equals to 2x plus 1 over 2, then we'll have x to the power of half. So we made it a rational exponent as I have shown you before. Then now we are going to have y is equals to 2x plus. So look at this properly. Look at this properly. What we are going to do, we are going to take this x to the power of half. I'm going to put it where? Back to my numerator. So I'm going to have what? 1 over 2, but then I'm taking this guy back here. So it's going to be x to the power of minus half. Yeah? So sharp. This should not confuse you. Now I can say 2x plus, let me go through all the steps. X to the power of minus half over 2. But I can change this guy. I can change him. So I can change him. How can I change him? I'll say y is equal to 2x plus. So already you know that this is a 1 and get the coefficient is 1. So I'm just going to say 1 over 2. I put it together, right? So in this case, this represents my a, that's 1 over 2. And then I'm going to have my x, then it represents my x, and then to the power of what? Negative half. So this represents my b, negative half. So now I can derive this guy. I'm not finished. I haven't started deriving. So I'm going to have a dy over dx is equals to, so it's going to be 2 minus, then it's going to be 1 over 4 x to the power of minus 3 over 2. Are we all on the same page with this one?
Mm.
Are we all okay now? So the meeting is about to shut down. I will tell you when to join. In the group chat, I'm going to send you guys a message and tell you to rejoin.